Welcome back, YouTubers, to another Good and Bad of the Week podcast with us, the British Fist, here on youtube.com/WWE Daniel01 if you haven't already subscribed. I am Mr. Parkin, as you all know, and this guy, you may not see him, but you'll be hearing him in a couple of seconds. It's MJ!
What's up?
Oh, nice one, MJ. Make sure you guys subscribe up above, as usual. Now we're putting these on YouTube. Like this video and comment your thoughts on what we're talking about down below. We're going to be talking about Raw, SmackDown, and of course TNA.
Make sure you contact us in the links in the green box below.
Yes, Facebook, Skype, Twitter, all those lovely social networking means. Right, so Good and Bad of the Week podcast. First thing I want to mention here is, in case you haven't seen already, ESPN have put out a podcast, a BS of the Week podcast with CM Punk, talking about various different things about the CM Punk storyline. And on Saturday, NJ will be uploading a video which has me in it, which we'll be talking about the podcast, what it was saying and stuff. So make sure you check that out, as we'll be putting that in the link in the description box below. So make sure you check that out, and also check out the podcast because it is very interesting, isn't it, NJ?
I think with the way that CM Punk was talking in this podcast, it's definitely one to check out because it would explain a lot to you if you don't understand certain parts of what's been happening in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been a mixed week for WWE and TNA, isn't it, NJ?
It has, yes.
Yeah, we had what I thought was a good Raw, and then a bad TNA, and an okay to bad SmackDown. So.
Pretty much.
Should we get on to Raw then?
Let's go for it.
Yes, let's. As you well know, after we play the Raw theme, we're going to start talking about Raw. Also, I mentioned this in the introduction, so you should know we're talking about Raw by now. Should we start off with the good, NJ? There was a lot of good on Raw this week. It was generally a very good show. I think we both rated it a B+.
We did. It was an entertaining Raw, I thought.
Yes. Where better to start, really, than in chronological order with the opener. We got a pre-announced match for the opener, which was good in my opinion. And what I liked about this was the fact we had a match, and it wasn't a segment, because I'm a bit fed up of segments opening the show. It was just good and different and fresh to have a match that opened the show, especially a WWE title match, which was, in my opinion, very good. And
I think with these two going against each other, Miz and Rey Mysterio, I think that they were great. They did great together in this match. I thought it was an entertaining match.
Yeah, just the fact that it was pre-announced really made it good for me, because we knew what we were going to expect. We knew it was going to be the opener. I mean, in my opinion, it was a little bit disappointing that it was the opener, because usually, you know, you want that. It's the kind of match you want as your main event. But it kind of became clearer in the night why this was the opener, why it wasn't the main event. As we saw later on in the night, a lot more. Some interesting stuff happened.
Sure, yes.
The match itself was very good. I mean, I just enjoyed the hell out of this match, Miz versus Rey. I wanted Miz to win, but Rey won it, so there you go.
Well, I kind of think it made sense that Rey was going to win because Miz had the injury. Miz has got a rivalry with Riley.
Yeah.
And I think the way they go in with Rey would have been a good champ to go on to the rest of the night.
Yeah, because he had it, what, for 1.5 hours?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and it was the fact that this match was the opening match. You kind of knew something was going to happen in this match later. Something was going to happen later on in the night, and it did. We also got Del Rio come out, didn't we? Tried to cash in his Money in the Bank and failed big time. Wow, how much of a fail was that, eh?
Oh, dear. we were all expecting Alberto Del Rio to cash in. We were all expecting him to do it on that night, but the sad thing is, he didn't manage to get it done, so it looks like they're going to save Del Rio's cash in for a later time.
Yeah, maybe even at SummerSlam, who knows?
Could be the case.
That would be awesome if that happened, wouldn't it? CM Punk versus Cena at SummerSlam, Del Rio cashes it in. What a time to cash in if that happens.
It would. New crown champion or whatever's going to put SummerSlam.
Undisputed champion by the sounds of it.
That's what could happen, yeah.
Any other opinions on the opening match? Not segment, as I'm so used to saying.
I think they did good with having it first. Yeah, it's a main event, but still it got the crowd going because we were crowning a new champion.
Yeah, and it kind of reminded me of the kind of pop it got from remember the Miz Morrison match which opened Raw last year, and that was a very good match. And I think it's good that WWE opening of the match just because it's something, like I said before, it's something different, it's something fresh, and it's something we all like to see. A good, 13-minute wrestling match, something that we got out of Miz and John Morrison last year in that no holds barred match that we got. Remember, for the title.
Yeah, I can remember that, and I think the way they're trying to relive it or try and give us a great main event to begin the night, I think it did good for the show.
Yep. The next positive thing on our agenda is the fact that we are going to get... Usually we don't talk good about the Divas, do we? But we got a Divas Battle Royal for the #1 contendership for the Divas title at SummerSlam match made next week, and I actually enjoy this because a battle royal is the kind of thing which we think the Divas should be involved with more, don't we?
Because the thing is, we're so used to seeing tag team matches with Divas, so I think for them to have a battle royal with more than 1, 2, 3, 4 Divas in a match, it would make it more use of the Divas, yes.
Yeah, and we're really rooting for Beth in this one, aren't we?
It would, because it would make her look dominant because she's in the ring with more than one diva, and I think it would do her justice if she goes through and wins.
And I do think, going from last week, we saw kind of signs that Beth Phoenix may want to challenge Kelly Kelly for the title. We saw a little bit of tension between the two at the end of that 7-on-7 match. So in my opinion, I do want Beth to win, although I do feel they'll make someone like Eve win, or even if they make someone like Natalya win, I won't be that bothered. At least I know someone like Natalya is a good wrestler.
So I think they do need to bring back the old divas that used to be involved in wrestling, the ones that we used to cheer for, the ones we used to root for, and bring them back into the Divas title, the division, and have a new champion there.
Yeah. And also it's hype for SummerSlam as well, which you don't usually get much of for the Divas match. I know it's just an announcement of a match, but it's hype for you mentioned the pay-per-view, you mentioned there's going to be some build-up to it, which is good for a Divas feud, because we don't usually get much hype for a Divas match, do we?
No, so I think they're doing something quite interesting here, and hopefully it'll work out next week.
Definitely. We also got two what I thought were very, very good TV championship matches between Ray and Miz and Cena and Ray. What did you? I mean, the fact that we got two actually very good time matches in one night was a huge plus for me. Really, they got good time. They almost felt like pay-per-view matches, didn't they? Some of them.
Because the thing is, we spoke about the first one, and the second one got announced by Triple H, and he basically just said that we're going to have another one, because obviously the whole Cena being screwed out of it when he had that match against CM Punk. And I'm thinking, okay, I guess that makes some sense because you're the new boss now and you make the rules. And it did turn out to be a pretty entertaining match. Yes. Rey Mysterio, two faces.
You have pretty much the two top faces on Raw, don't you? I mean, the two biggest drawers on Raw anyway, Rey Mysterio and John Cena. Randy Orton being the other exception for the babyface side. But you pretty much have the two biggest faces on Raw, and it was really interesting to see who the crowd would side with in this match.
And the thing is, I couldn't really tell which one they were actually going for, because I think there was a part of them that wanted Ray because of how Ray's been, and they wanted Cena to be the champ again.
Let's go Cena. Cena sucks.
Yeah, that's
Let's go Cena.
Cena Blade does suck.
Yeah, I know. I know what your opinions of Cena are, NJ. So yeah, two good title matches was a big plus for me, just because we started the night with a title match, we ended the night with the title match. But also, we got a nice little promo from Triple H with doing his State of the WWE address, which I, although it went for 20 minutes, although it was quite long, it needed to be long because it had a lot. We had a lot in it, which I guess this promo was kind of there to achieve. We had basically Triple H saying there were changes coming.
The thing is, the only reason it was really 20 minutes is thanks to one particular person who decided to drag it out.
Yeah, and I may quote. And I quote Michael Cole.
Yeah, he dragged it out. Again, Triple H and Mike, I love it. I really think it's great on Mike. He cut out a great promo. But Michael Cole, really, his part could be done in 2 minutes.
His part could be done in 2 minutes. It could be done in 2 seconds. You're fired.
That could have happened, but he could just fuck back to SmackDown now.
But for what it was, you got 20 minutes from Triple H, but we also got a lot of other stuff happening. We had the return of Jim Ross.
Yes!
Which is, in my opinion, reigniting Jim Ross and Joey Lawler is very good, despite the fact that a lot of people felt that with the direction that WWE were going and that Jim Ross may never be involved in the commentary desk again.
Because the thing is, when we think of Raw, before the whole thing changed, we used to see them two together. So having them together is going to relive the Raw feeling. Like that's going to come back in the next couple of weeks, and I think they've done good bringing them back.
And no one expected it either. I mean, not even the roster expected Jim Ross to be back, just because of the direction the WWE are going in. I really do feel, like you said, this is a huge positive for Raw. Because we all remember Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler being an amazing commentary team, alongside the likes of Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. So it's good to have Jim Ross back on commentary to bring a bit more realism, a bit more realism out into matches. You know what I mean? Rather than Michael Cole's broadcast journalistic approach, Jim Ross brings out a lot more realism into the matches, into wrestling, which is good, I feel.
I think it was a good thing to bring him back because the thing is, Triple H did not just stop with Jim Ross. He gave us a load more surprises.
Yeah.
We had like this whole R-Truth segment, which was hilarious.
Yo, you got that invisible guy behind me, and yo, you can shut up, yo.
And
the spiders.
They did their little joke about the seeing people and that.
Triple H was hilarious.
And the thing is, it went past that, and he says that, don't worry, we've got another surprise for you.
Yes.
And then out comes John Morrison.
Yeah, and it was just good for me as an ex John Morrison mark. I'm no longer a John Morrison mark, but it was good to see John Morrison come back because at that point you knew that John Morrison and R-Truth were going to have a match at SummerSlam, and it kind of teases it. And because we've seen it, we've watched it in WWE for the last 2-3 months, we know there's going to be a match, and we knew that John Morrison was going to return at some point. Maybe, I mean, to be honest with you, I did like the return, but maybe it could have been done on another week, maybe, seeing as you just returned Jim Ross this week. Maybe return John Morrison next week. This is one thing that we'll come on to later in the bad points, although I really did enjoy the return.
I'm going to say this is good. Like, Jim Ross is not having a wrestle match at SummerSlam. so having him back to be the commentator, great. Have Morrison back earlier, because if he came back, let's say the week before SummerSlam, there's no build, there's no proper good feel to it. So the fact that he's come back now is giving him 2 weeks to build up to SummerSlam. So I'll say bringing them two back, perfect.
Yep, but in the same segment though, was that?
Well, Triple H, it's good that they used Triple H in one segment of Raw, and they concentrate the rest of the night on what will come later. Yes,
because later, like you said, we had the main event between CM Punk, Cena and Ray, which we said before was a good match. But after the match happens, Cena wins the match, and although we don't like Cena winning, it kind of makes sense that Cena won the title when this next thing happened, and that was CM Punk making an appearance.
Yes! People been complaining that CM Punk maybe coming back too soon, but I look at it and think, nah. We're having a big match leading up to SummerSlam now because we have Cena and CM Punk, champion and champion, in the ring together. I'm thinking that's going to be a great SummerSlam match. Yeah,
and WWE really need to get onto this storyline while it's hot. A lot of people, like you said, will complain that he was brought back too early. But the fact of the matter is, this storyline at the moment is one of the hottest storylines they've had in a while. And if they don't use it to headline one of their big 4 pay-per-views, they're going to see it as a big fail, in my opinion. So a CM Punk appearance was quite understandable. Although, to be honest, even though he's supposed to be fired, I did think him coming out to the ramp was a bit odd. Why didn't he just come through the crowd or something?
Well, I think, as we found out later, Triple H have rehired him.
Yeah.
So I think for him to come down the ramp, it kind of made sense because Triple H already had rehired him, so he's allowed to do that.
And he had a new gimmick as well. New music, new gimmick, which was quite nice to see. He had a new shirt on, new music. He seemed to have a kind of new attitude as well, in a way.
And I think this is only going to bring back the fact that we've got weeks before SummerSlam.
Yeah.
It's going to make the build-up interesting. It's going to make their match at SummerSlam, I think, a great match again.
Yeah, the return of Punk was very good. What else can I really say about this? There was no words or anything. You just saw them two holding up their title, which was good. I mean, you don't really need too many words there. Kind of similar to the Triple H Undertaker thing we had at WrestleMania. But
yeah, I think the way they've done it, the whole build CM Punk up to back to the main event, and now having him return after him running away with the championship, it's made this whole ending of Raw, again, another great ending.
Another great ending, yes, definitely. That's a good point. Do you want to move on to the bad now? So there's some bad to this week. I mean, Raw wasn't perfect. There was a couple of bad things. The Divas match. We got Maurice and Melina. Very good to see Maurice and Melina. That should be their tag team name, Maurice and Marina. Versus Eve Torres and Kelly Kelly. Another, typical Divas Championship match, which the faces won. But we really wanted to see Beth Phoenix because we've really seen signs. She won her match last week. Why didn't we see her this week? If she was going to win last week, why didn't they not book her this week?
I know, it doesn't kind of make sense because I think maybe they weren't meant to give us the period that's together between Beth Phoenix and Kelly Kelly. We can only hope.
Yeah.
So I guess the Divas match, it was a short match, not much to it. It didn't have any proper feeling to it, but it's a Divas match. So
Kelly Kelly won, of course. This is your typical Divas match, really, isn't it, in WWE? Pretty shit.
It was, yes.
Yeah. Also, we did mention earlier that Michael Cole, a part of the Triple H promo went on too long. We've given our opinions on that, so unless you have anything else to say, we'll move on to the Ryder Cole match.
Yeah, that's gone back to the lead onto this whole Triple H and Michael Cole segment.
It was funny him coming out in Triple H's gear. I did like that. That was quite funny. But the fact of the matter is, you have Michael Cole facing Zack Ryder, and there's two things here which we really need to point out. Number one, let's just get this one out of the way. We're not big fans of Zack Ryder. I really don't like Zack Ryder, and I really don't think he has any talent. I don't really see why he's on TV. He should just stay on Superstars. I mean, I don't see any talent in this guy. And the fact that he's used the internet to hype himself up to me just really shows how desperate he is at the moment.
With Zack Ryder, I think there's a lot of internet fans that like him basically because of what he's done.
Not us though, brother.
But when it comes to him actually wrestling, the only good thing about him was when he was with Kurt Hawkins, and now he's just absolutely no way. He's not going to get anywhere in wrestling industry. So I think for the WWE to give him a match against Michael Cole, the whole Michael Cole wrestling, as Michael Cole did say, I do agree with him. It should have been finished.
Definitely,
him wrestling should have been finished. So to give him a match, I thought that was a bad idea for Raw.
And the fucking thing, the thing that really annoys me about this is you have Ryder and Cole on TV. Yet you have Jack Swagger and Alex Riley on Superstars. Now, surely, you can have Swagger and Alex Riley on TV. Two guys that you've had an ex fucking World Heavyweight Champion, and Alex Riley's been getting this huge push lately, and they can't get on TV, but Ryder and Cole can. It just seemed a really stupid, ordering. Why have them two on TV and the other two not?
As we saw, Alex Riley did appear on Raw, but he just was backstage celebrating Rey Mysterio's win.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking...
Win for the faces.
Well, with that, Miz was in a match against Ray at the beginning of the night, so you weren't really going to hype up any Riley and Miz. So I think, to be honest, having Riley actually doing not much on Raw kind of made sense.
But I'd have liked to have seen the match, though, Swagger and A-Ray, on Raw. It would have been a decent TV match.
It would, so I think they could have maybe fitted in somewhere.
Yeah, right then. Also, we had... Rey Mysterio winning the title for a matter of 2 hours? Is this a bit of a short title reign, do you think? A bit too short?
Yeah, because comparing it to Christian's title reign, Rey Mysterio has had it.
Come on.
Christian...
You just got interrupted there by my dad, so just ignore that if you're listening to this, people. You didn't see him. You don't need to see him. He's an ugly fuck. Go on, carry on.
Come on now. We've had Christian's title reign. That was, I can't remember how long now.
5 days in storyline time, 2 days in real time.
Yeah, thing. And Rey Mysterio, an ex-champion, and he only had it for less than 2 hours. I thought that was appalling, but...
It made sense at the end of the night, didn't it? He was a transitional champion, which, to be honest, I only see him as now. I don't see him as a permanent champion. I only really see him as a temporary champion to give the title to someone else, which at the end of the night was Cena, wasn't it? So
I don't know. It's just, I didn't like that whole idea. I just thought, well, the Rey Mysterio, as many people say, is a great wrestler.
Yes.
So for him to get treated like that, I just thought it was wrong, and that is coming from someone that is not a Rey Mysterio fan.
Yes, and my opinion on this is, why couldn't you have Rey and Cena next week? Give some hype to next week's show rather than just have it on the same week. This is one of the things. I think WWE might have blown their wad in one night, kind of a little bit. I'll go into this a little bit later, but could they not have hyped this maybe for next week? Done it a bit at a time?
I think, to be honest, all we can say is from what we think, but they could have had next week planned, and next week they could have had a reason for having it all bunched into one.
Yeah.
So I'm only having hopes that there is something happening next week.
Yes. Cena is now an 11-time champion, NJ. That's not good for the monster, is it?
No, because listen here, people. John Cena coming the champ. I guess I can see why they did it, because they have a big feud going to SummerSlam now. But the thing is, John Cena the champ again. When we going into Raw, we didn't expect it. We expected it to be either Ray or Miz. So for Cena to get it by the end of the night, I thought that was just a bloody rubbish idea.
Yeah, well, Cena winning the title again, it's not... But I guess it kind of made sense, and if this is the way WWE had to do it, then I guess they had to do it. But it made sense after Punk come out. But it's just Cena winning the title again just seems like the same old bullshit. And even though it does lead into this Cena-Punk storyline, it's just... it just gets on your nerves a little bit seeing Cena win the title again, doesn't it?
The only thing I can have hope for is when it comes to SummerSlam, Punk wins. And
yes.
The title that Cena had has been cut short.
Definitely, because Punk has the real title. So, yes. Now, one question I want to ask you before we end this, NJ. Do you think WWE blew their wad in one night on this show?
I'm going to say no, because I still have faith that the WWE might have reason for this. But at the same time, from what it looked like from first view, yes.
It did seem like they did a lot in one night, and I do think some of the stuff could have been saved for another week, especially when you're trying to hype up one of your big four shows. Keep the shows fresh, keep the shows... Because this show is very good. It did a lot. It's just that I think more could have been done to put on next week's show to make that one better, because for all we know, next week's show, despite the fact that Punk is going to get a promo, and his promo is always awesome, the fact that the Raw might not be that good next week, and you kind of could have transferred that from Raw to that next week's Raw. But maybe next week's Raw will be good, so who knows?
We can only have that hope.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I'm going to stick with the WWE's changes, and I'm going to say, no, not everything was blown in one night.
Okay then, we all have opinions on it. Make sure you, of course, you can always comment your thoughts on that down below, of course. Shall we move on to TNA then?
Yeah, let's.
So now it's time for us to go on to the good and bad, or this week, in this week's case, just the bad, of TNA Impact Wrestling. It really wasn't a good show this week, was it, NJ? Sigh of relief?
No, hell, it was not good.
No, but let's just get the good out of the way first, because it wasn't that much. We've only got 2 points.
Yeah.
Mostly, and it was mostly to do with the X Division. Although we didn't think the X Division segment was very good, one good thing I will say is, at least Austin Aries, a guy who we can see has talent, is getting involved in the X Division title match. What do you think about Austin Aries now? He's getting involved in it quite quickly, isn't he?
I'm looking forward to seeing him progress in the X Division, because I think, to be honest, he's got the look about him, and he's definitely got the mic skills, and he's definitely a great wrestler, I think. So I say keep going with him, and I look forward to seeing what he does next.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be getting a three-way match as well at Hardcore Justice for the X Division title, which I think will be very good. Austin Aries versus Kendrick versus Alex Shelley. I think I can see that being quite a good match.
And the only hope I have for it is hopefully, as Kendrick's got 2 great wrestlers against him, someone will take the title off him.
Yeah, and we also had 2 X Division segments, which in itself is a bit of a plus. 2 X Division segments in one TNA Impact Wrestling show. It's good to have. We had a match and a segment, so I guess that was kind of good in itself as well. Should we go on to the bad now?
Yeah.
Wow. This is the first time we've really bashed TNA to this extent. But this show today was so... The show on Thursday was seriously bad and really not very well entertaining. The first thing I think we need to talk about... Let's get rid of this one first. How many backstage segments does TNA Impact Wrestling want? Because it gets to the point where they just get incessantly crap, doesn't it? Too much time devoted to segments, not enough time devoted to matches.
Because the backstage segments did not build up anything. It only built up that particular night. It did not build up matches. It did not build up what comes to their pay-per-view. Yes. So I thought it was just a waste.
Yeah, and it really pisses me off when TNA have their matches are like 4 minutes long and their backstage segments are probably longer sometimes. And also, most of these backstage segments had Sting in them. Now, Sting, a guy, I thought his character change at first was quite good, but now his character change is just getting... annoying. It's annoying the fuck out of me because it's just a blatant copy of fucking a blatant mixed copy between Jim Carrey and the Joker, and it's just.
The thing is, when I watched TNA, the thing that got me into it is because I wanted to see wrestling, and the thing is with Sting, I heard all this thing about Sting's this big bad wrestler and all that, and when I look at this, I think, he's a flipping joke. He's not a wrestler, and the whole night just proved it to me on how flipping bad Sting is.
But let me just say this once more. Who do you hate more, Cena or Sting?
I hate Cena more, but Sting... Fuck, what the hell is wrong with him?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the whole TNA backstage segments thing is a real put-off, in my opinion. And the fact that wrestling matters here, brother. And you just think to yourself, no, we only got like 20 minutes of in-ring action max this week, if that.
Because the segments filled up most of our time,
yes.
And there's particular matches here that we would have wanted to see longer.
Yeah, such as Bully Ray and Crimson. I wanted that match to last longer than 3 minutes, but unfortunately, TNA today were deciding that they just wanted Crimson to win the match and get out of there, when in actual fact they could have actually put on a decent 5+ minute match.
Because the thing is, Bully Ray is meant to be like almost the head of Immortal, or he makes him look like he is. So for him to go against Crimson, yeah, Crimson's got his undefeated streak, but Bully Ray needed to look stronger, and this match did not make him look anything strong. Yes, the thing is, his promo before the match made him look stronger than the actual match.
Yeah, which is weird. But I mean, this again, it goes back to the point that because so much time was devoted to segments, backstage segments, and promos, the matches of this did not get enough time, and they seemed very rushed. We saw a lot of entrances not being done. endings were cut off very fast. So in my opinion, that kind of aspect of TNA Impact Wrestling this week just really made the show feel really bad, and it really made it feel rushed. Like they had to do so much that they couldn't have an entrance or something.
Yeah, I was really disappointed in this because I was watching it in every little bit. There was just segments galore, and I just thought, please just get to the next match.
But at least we got to see Crimson though, which is a positive, I guess.
Yeah, that match could have been better though.
Yes, definitely. The opener. Now for the opener, we had Angle come out to call out Hogan, and Hogan spends the entire fucking segment dominating the mic. So and as a wrestling fan, we're sitting there thinking, doesn't Angle have a match with Sting at Hardcore Justice? Why is Hogan dominating the mic over Angle? Why is Hogan even getting involved here? I just don't understand.
When I watched TNA the last couple of weeks, I saw Hogan and Sting. So I don't really see why Hogan's now getting involved with Angle when he's been involved with.
Cool. They want the world champs back.
It's just the open promo was just.
They want their main event feud back.
It's probably going to be that, yeah.
Yeah, the opening promo really wasn't very good. It dragged on a lot, and it's just I'm fed up of seeing opening promos with Hogan in it, and and I guess it kind of hypes Angle's match, but it was all about Hogan, and that's the thing that really fucking annoyed me about it. It was all about Hulk Hogan.
Well, you just said that it probably hyped up their match. I didn't feel any hype in that. It was just more Angle trying to, just like what Sting did, try and bring out the old Hogan and the actual Hogan to go and kick someone's ass, but he's gone past that now.
And we all know where this is leading. Sting and Hogan at Bound for Glory. There we go, sorted.
Yeah, past that now.
Yes. We had another Bound for Glory series match between Gunner and RVD, and while the match I thought got a decent amount of time and was a good match, the problem is, why did RVD beat Gunner? Especially when Gunner is seemingly being built up by TNA as this next big thing. Why is someone like RVD, who really should be at that stage in his career, he really should be putting guys over, getting out the main event scene to let guys like Gunner through? Why is he winning this match? I don't understand.
Well, the good side, I'm going to do my good bad thing again. The good thing is that you have these two who are great wrestlers, I think, in a match together. So that was a good match for TNA. The bad thing is, like, we all know Rob Van Dam's great and all that. We really needed the chance for Gunner to prove himself involved in TNA because he is getting that push, as we saw in the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
And why is RVD near the top of this Bound for Glory series tournament? Surely you want guys like Morgan, Crimson. You've got guys up there, but why is RVD? Why are RVD and Devon up there, for fuck's sake? I don't understand. That's the fucking annoying thing about this tournament at the moment. Yet you get guys like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Pope near the fucking bottom. And Bobby Roode.
It makes no sense, and this match just proves what we've just said, yes.
Another thing that annoyed me about tonight was the fact that tonight you really did see the demise of Mr. Anderson, didn't you? 2 weeks ago, I believe, he was the World Heavyweight Champion, or 3 weeks, I can't remember. He joins them all, and you're thinking to yourself, this guy is going to be a big star in TNA. Next thing you know, he's losing the title. He's in the back end of segments, so Jeff Jarrett can be there, and he's also, getting buried in the main event.
Because the thing is, Mr. Anderson's one of the reasons why I was watching TNA to see how he had improved since the WWE. So to see him doing so good in TNA to begin with, as the champion in that, and suddenly to lose and then go downhill, I was really disappointed. And the whole of this night, there's moments in his time on mic and all this, I just didn't really think that it was doing him any justice, and it weren't good to watch.
It was just really bad to see how downhill it'd gone, and it was exemplified in this next bad thing we're going to go on to, when you have Sting revealing that he's the network executive. He makes a couple of matches, and then towards the end of the night, he comes in and says, I lied. I'm not really the network executive. And he just can't. This is so ridiculous.
You have Hogan and Bischoff, the runners of the show.
The power.
Thing is, they didn't realise quick enough that Sting was just abusing
the network's power.
So I think, to be honest, that was just a whole stupid part of TNA. I don't know why they came up with that stupid idea, having Sting run the show. Because he didn't just get involved in just one match. It was a match after match.
He was involved in 7. He almost reminded me of Jeff Jarrett, trying to get involved in every single fucking segment. And I can understand that he's the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, but it's not like he carried the belt around with him or was given any hype for the pay-per-view matches. He was there making matches, and it was just what the fuck? surely the people at the top, like Bischoff, have a bit more fucking sense. And it's just the realism there just kind of goes, you know.
And I think they're concentrating too much on Sting,
Yes.
and I'm thinking Sting's not going to be the future one to look out for. It's going to be like Anderson, hopefully, again. It's going to be some members of the X Division stuff.
You got Matt Morgan, like guys like that really need to be focal point of the show.
Not Sting. So I think, to be honest, the amount of times they used Sting tonight was just appalling, and Sting having that power, that was appalling. So I don't know.
One thing I will say though is something that I said in previous TNA shows. At least you know when they're doing this, they're putting Sting in 8 different segments, so they kind of have faith in him as a guy that they're going to feature prominently on TV, rather than Anderson, who they really didn't give that much TV time to as a champion. At least it shows they have faith in Sting, that they're going to put him on TV and they can have him as a champion rather than, because remember Anderson got no TV time when he was the champion.
But when it comes to Sting, like not able to do as much as he used to, what are they going to do then? They've been building up Sting so much, and the other wrestlers are just. They started to go up, but then they just got drifted back down. So I think they've just done bad booking with Sting.
Need I say Jeff Jarrett? But there we go. Jeff Jarrett was only featured once this show, which is a positive.
Yeah,
we also had the mood doesn't increase here. We have another Eric Young segment, which again is needless and takes up valuable TV time, which you need to hype your pay-per-view. Is Eric Young going to be on the pay-per-view? No. Is he even in a feud at the moment? No. Then why is he on TV? It's not even funny.
This whole Eric Young thing is one of the reasons why I watched him thinking, why am I watching this? He's really boring, and he's doing the show, the ratings, no justice.
No. Let's just finish talking about that now, because we don't want to devote too much time to Eric Young. The knockout segment. Usually we enjoy knockout wrestling and knockout segments.
Yes, I do.
But better than Divas anyway. But this one went on for way too long, and it achieved very little. And you have Velvet Sky, Tracy Brooks, ODB, Miss Jackie, and you're thinking, why are they devoting so much time to these 4 people that aren't even involved at the pay-per-view?
And not even knockout champion.
I know, exactly. And where was Mickie James this week?
That's the point. Yes, that's what.
Where was she this week? She's the best. She's the best knockout that TNA have got, and they didn't showcase her.
And last week she was given one of the knockout match.
Yeah, Velvet Sky, but then that got interrupted and got overbooked by 7 fucking others.
So that could have been moved onto this week, but they've ruined the knockout.
It just went on too long, and it was just the same old shit from Velvet Sky, wasn't it? Oh, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be comeback queen or whatever. It's just really long and achieve very little, and I don't really see why they're using it.
My first time knocking the knockouts, but they just didn't do anything for me this week.
Nope, neither did me. And some of them are really sexy, so usually they do. But all I'll say now is, while we did have a lot of good about the X Division segment, Kendrick on the mic. We don't want to fucking hear him on the mic. He's so full of fucking shit, isn't he? Why did TNA give this guy mic time?
He's just like, he weren't really the best on mic any time in his career, so I think for them to try and give him another chance was just appalling. Again, I've said that word too many times, but they've just done so much bad things to know.
And he's the champion as well, which again was a result of Destination X, but I don't fucking want him as the champion. He's just not the guy who I would say could be leading an X division as the champion.
No, and the thing is, I know Abyss is not X Division, but you've really seen Kendrick beat Abyss, and I'm just like, I couldn't see that happening. I couldn't see it happen, but it happened, and I'm just saying now that hopefully it won't last for long.
No, because as a result of this segment, we also had a match made by Sting, involving Abyss and Brian Kendrick in an Ultimate X match. And before we go on to the match itself, I just want to say, how come Abyss got his rematch after Shelley got his match that he wanted the #1 contendership? I said this on the review, but why the fuck are they giving Abyss his rematch after they've just given Shelley the match that he deserved at Destination X and winning that Ultimate X match?
I think Shelley should have waited, so Shelley could have done more build up. And
pay-per-view.
Yeah, that could be an idea. And this goes back to what I said before. This is the second match that Abyss and Kendrick have faced each other, and I really couldn't see Kendrick beating Abyss, but he did. And
in an Ultimate X match, though, you'd kind of have to favour the X Division guy.
And it was in a stupid way. It was just...
Well, you say stupid. I think it was a bit different. I kind of enjoyed the way the match finished. I didn't enjoy the match very much because it had fucking Abyss in it, but the way it finished I thought was okay. I didn't really have too much of a problem with that.
Kendrick's the champ. I just want to get it off him.
You don't have any monster, that's the problem. One thing I will say here, though, is, when you have an Ultimate X match, which is essentially a huge match for TNA, you didn't give it any hype or anything. And, Sting mentions the match, but why couldn't this just been a singles match? Why not have an Ultimate X match at a pay-per-view where people have to pay to see it, rather than on a free taping?
X Division is something that get the crowd exciting because they're really good matches to look out for. So I think for it to be on a normal TNA show, I just thought it wasn't a good idea.
And Abyss being in there again kind of didn't really help, did it? He's not the kind of guy you want in an Ultimate X match.
Well, the positive thing is he's lost his rematch now, so they're going to move on and go on to, like we said earlier, which is Kendrick and
Shelley and Austin Aries.
Yeah, that's what they're moving on to.
Hopefully that'll be a good match. I really do think it has the potential to be. Right, now time for the main event. Now, the main event was a cage match between Anderson and Kurt Angle, and one good thing about this, I thought, was the fact that while the focus was on the match, Angle and Anderson did have a somewhat decent match inside the cage.
In their short amount of time they had it in.
Yes. Until the Russo booking became evident and the main event became overbooked by the fact that Immortal and Fortune were fighting and Mexico America come out. And you're just thinking to yourself, why have they overbooked this main event once again? And the way it finished was a little bit But
yeah, I looked at this main event expecting it to be good, but thing is, like Anderson in the main event, great. It's what I want to see. And thing is, when you see these two, you do expect them to put on a good fight, but thing is, it didn't quite work out the best way I was hoping for, and again, I just didn't think it was the best way to finish TNA.
No, I don't mind them finishing TNA with Angle and Sting, because that is the main event. That is the match you're going to end with on a show.
But Sting was involved again in
yes.
the night. That's about his 50th time.
But it's understandable to have him involved at the end of the night, because that is the main event and that is the match they should be concentrating more on. It's just the way it led up to that, and the way that there was so much concentration away from the in-ring action, which I thought was very good. That it just ruined the match, didn't it? There was so much distraction away from the in-ring action once all the overbooking began and all people started interfering, and then you had Bully Ray giving him the chair and them fighting over the chair, and too much clusterfuck, I think is the word to describe that.
That is very true, and I think the whole Anderson and Bully Ray thing, that could be hinting anything now.
Yeah.
They could be breaking up. They could have Anderson leaving Immortal to go off and be on his own, which he should have been without joining Immortal.
Yes.
And I'm just saying, what's the next come for those two? It could be interesting.
Yes. And this leads us into our final point. Now, we've seen Anderson. He was the World Heavyweight Champion. He joined Immortal. Things seem to be going brilliantly for Mr. Anderson. At the time, we were very happy with this because we both quite enjoyed Mr. Anderson's in-ring work and his promos and his gimmick. But my question is, you've just made him join Immortal, which is the power faction. Then you made him lose the title, and now you're going as far as to teasing a breakup with them. And you're thinking to yourself, why the fuck did you do this in the first place when you're just going to make him lose the title and then leave the fucking faction anyway? What was the point of it? Why not just stick with what they had originally, which is a great gimmick, which has kind of been ruined a little bit now. Let's just hope. I don't know. This point just really annoys me.
I just thought they had faith in Anderson. That's why they moved him up so as big as Immortal, but that didn't work out. So that's all I've got to say.
Okay then. So TNA this week really did show signs of before we watched it. It really did show signs of how TNA used to be before lockdown, which was very, very bad and overbooked. But it was just a really bad show this week. And let's go on to SmackDown, because at least that'll have a few more positive things in it, won't it, NJ?
Yeah, let's.
Now on to WWE's Friday night showing, which is none other than SmackDown. And of course, as usual, we will start off with the good of SmackDown. Now, the opener this week, we had Triple H, which is something different, wasn't it? Rather than Teddy Long.
Well, when it comes to Triple H now taking over, it's good that he's had his part on Raw, and now he's on SmackDown having his say there.
Yep, so it's just the way, just for me, the way the show opened with Triple H, was just a lot different to what we usually get, which is something involving Orton and Teddy Long. He also made a match for the pay-per-view, which I thought was good. This is the match he made Orton versus Christian. This is the match which really needed to be announced quite far ahead of time because it is their main event. So it's good that he's announced the match and got a lot of things out of the way in this segment too, like make some more matches for tonight.
Because the interesting thing is that he's made it so it can round up, hopefully, their rivalry at SummerSlam.
In a no-holds-barred match.
Yeah, so that should be something good to look forward to, and it was good thinking there. and it gave us matches. I like when they book matches at the beginning of the night for the rest of the night. But the thing is, again, the matches were obviously the two main eventers, Christian and Randy Orton.
We'll go on to, there's a lot of bad about that, but we'll go on to that in the bad section, I guess.
We will.
But for now, we'll say the good thing was that, like Andrew said, we got 2 matches for the night, Christian versus John Morrison, his return match, and we also had R-Truth versus Orton in the main event. So it set up a main event, and it set up the next match, which was good for a continuance of the show. Also, what I loved about this opening segment was the fact that we didn't have Teddy Long come out. We had Triple H, who is the actual, owner rather than the general manager, coming out and doing this and making matches and stuff.
As much as it is Teddy Long's show, I'm thinking with Triple H new to this, it's good that he's having his say and he's showing that his power. So it was a good opener.
And we also got R-Truth coming out, didn't we?
Yeah, that was another comedy bit to add to the Triple H and R-Truth in there going,
speaking to his invisible friends.
That's true.
Man, and then Triple H actually plays on that like he did on Raw the same way. I did enjoy this opening segment. It's just something different, like I said. I mean, Triple H coming out rather than the usual stuff. What more can I really say? I can't really say much more about that, to be honest. But
no.
Any other thoughts before we move on to the next good thing?
It was just a good opener for SmackDown, leading on to the rest of the night.
Yes. One segment we did enjoy tonight was the Mark Henry segment. Now I'll go on to my little thing. What I enjoyed about this segment was the fact that they gave Henry a jobber to beat, which, in my opinion, makes him look stronger and doesn't bury someone that you kind of need to give your push to. Let's say, for example, they had Mark Henry against Daniel Bryan. You wouldn't want Mark Henry to destroy Daniel Bryan, so at least they're giving it to a jobber who we don't really know very much about and we don't really give a shit about.
Well, you saying that I wouldn't want Mark Henry to destroy Daniel Bryan, let's not go into that. No, and and then he got involved. Because as he's taken up Big Show and Kane, it's left him with no one at the minute. So I think for them now to get him involved with Sheamus later in the night, I think that's going to be good because it's going to do them both justice, I think.
Well, it kind of works both ways, doesn't it? WWE trying to turn Sheamus face. Mark Henry needs someone to feud with, so it kind of gives them both something to do. Sheamus, I believe, you're going up against Mark Henry, who's this monster heel, and if Sheamus was seemed to be very over the crowd, I'm not sure whether it was canned heat, but Sheamus's face turn seems to be working a bit, doesn't it? Now, especially they've got him going after Mark Henry.
Well, I think this is going to be good because when it comes to their match, maybe going up to SummerSlam, I'm thinking that Mark Henry needs to, if he's going to be the next monster on SmackDown, he needs a feud that's going to keep him going in that. So to have him get Sheamus, that could be a good working rivalry leading to SummerSlam.
And Sheamus does seem like, again, the perfect guy for him to go up against. I mean, Sheamus, as we all know, is a tough guy. He plays a good heel. And to have someone go against Mark Henry, I mean, you had Big Show and Kane, and now you've got Sheamus, and maybe this can give Sheamus the push he needs going into the main event at some point. Well, it could also end Mark Henry's sort of push, so to speak.
The sad thing about this, I'm going to say a bad thing about this now.
Go on.
Sheamus is the person that I thought would be the next person to go into the main event. But now he's a face. You can't really have a face Sheamus versus a face Orton.
Yes.
So I'm kind of thinking now, who else other than Sheamus was going to be the next one to face Orton?
Who knows?
You see, so turning Sheamus face does have its bad point now.
Yeah, but at least we have a second babyface on SmackDown now. A guy who you can introduce into the main event as a face. Even though I thought Daniel Bryan might take that role, even though he doesn't need a lot of building. You know he's got money in the bank. Which is a positive for SmackDown.
That's true, but the thing is, what I like, maybe with the Sheamus thing now Orton might not get the championship at SummerSlam. Christian, if he still retains after SummerSlam, versus a face Sheamus, that could work. So I think they could make this whole storyline here work.
Yeah, so there's a lot. I mean, we could guess a lot from this, but the point of this is the interaction between Sheamus and Mark Henry was very good. And for the first time in a while, we saw someone get the uppance on Mark Henry, which was Sheamus, which was kind of nice to see because we've seen a lot of him dominating, and we needed to see something from Sheamus which would solidify him as a face, and this was it. I mean, he's been getting a lot of good crowd reaction, but once again, going up against the big bully and Mark Henry is only going to solidify even more. We even have Teddy Long coming out saying, no one wants to face you anymore, player. No one wants to face you anymore. But then Sheamus comes out and it's just like,
So I look forward to seeing if they can make this rivalry work.
Yeah, and the one segment that Teddy Long was involved in that I thought, oh my god, this is so funny. Teddy Long. I really hoped Mark Henry would take out Teddy Long, if I'm honest with you.
It would have been interesting, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Next, we had a tag title match on SmackDown today, and what did I say today? This is going up on Sunday, and that would have been 2 days ago when by the time this video goes up. But we did watch SmackDown today between the Nexus and the Usos, and I just enjoyed seeing a tag team title match on TV because, as we know, Nexus haven't really been featured on TV that much, and it's just nice to see the tag titles defended on TV again.
And I enjoyed seeing, because Nexus have now lost CM Punk, Mason Wright's injured, so I think with these two, the last two remaining, and maybe the last two are going to remain, them to look strong on their own, I think that was good for them in this match.
They definitely needed it because, let's face it, the tag champions, which are Nexus, just have lost so much credibility over these, and it really does exemplify the problem with the tag team division at the moment. But at least they got some TV time on SmackDown, and to be honest, I'm still of the opinion that the SmackDown should have the tag championships and have all the tag teams and just have them on TV. In my opinion, because Raw has so much talent, singles talent. Why not get all the tag teams onto SmackDown so that can be defended week after week after week and have tag team matches, which I think will be better on SmackDown. They give more time to wrestling than Raw.
That could be an idea for future for SmackDowns to think about.
Can you think of anything else positive about this SmackDown before we move on to the bad?
Again, it's not really gave me much hope for SummerSlam, but I guess they're going to move that on to next week.
Yep. Right, so we're going to the bad then, I guess. There was a fair bit of bad in this SmackDown, but that's usual because SmackDown isn't exactly the best show around with its writing. The first bad thing we want to talk about is Zack Ryder being Teddy Long's assistant. Why was this done? I can only assume it was done to please the internet fans that like him. Yeah. But I just hated this. It meant we had to see him about 5 times in the night, and I don't want to fucking see him.
No, and I'm thinking maybe this is not a ongoing thing.
Hopefully.
Maybe this is just there just to get the fans happy that want to see Zack Ryder. But again, it just disappointed a bit of SmackDown.
It just didn't make any sense to have Zack Ryder as Teddy Long's assistant. It just made no sense at all. It just really didn't.
No, I didn't like it that much.
No. The first bit of bad booking we got in this week's SmackDown was Christian versus John Morrison. Now, Christian won this match, and the question me and NJ were asking each other were, why is John Morrison losing his return match? In fact, why the fuck were they even facing off? Why do you have your World Heavyweight Champion who needs a push going into the pay-per-view going against John Morrison, who is another guy who needs a push going into the pay-per-view as he's just returned? Why are these two even facing off?
I look at this and I'm thinking, John Morrison, he was a great entertaining wrestler before he got that injury, so for him to come back and lose his return match, that's put all the build-up, wait for him to return, gone to waste, because he's came back and lost his first match. And Christian, for it to be Christian, of all the wrestlers to lose to, you lose to Christian. Christian, yes, he needs to look good leading to the pay-per-view, but at the same time, so does John Morrison. So John Morrison should have won or lost to someone different.
And another question is, what were these two doing on SmackDown? What was R-Truth and Morrison doing on SmackDown as well? That could be a question to be begged. It really does, once to me, show SmackDown's lack of roster and talent.
I was kind of thinking that because I think Triple H brought them over. I think it was to maybe, hopefully, spice up SmackDown a bit by having two likeable wrestlers from Raw on SmackDown.
And also, let's not forget, Morrison hasn't been on TV recently, so to get him on TV as much as they can might be a good thing. It's just a shame they have him wrestle a good match with Christian. It's just a shame that they made him lose. Or maybe they could have had R-Truth come out and maybe end it in disqualification, or not just so that they both, just so John Morrison didn't get buried like he did. You know. Yeah,
I just thought it was a bad match, but again, I say well done, Christian. But
World Heavyweight Champion, well done, my friend. Oh yeah, I've forgotten something for the positive. We had Justin Gabriel video package, didn't we? Where he was going back to his home of South Africa, talking about the homes and the local things in South Africa. Justin Gabriel segment.
Yeah,
that was good.
That was quite positive. Yeah.
I just thought I'd mention that before we go on to the next thing, which is it's another positive. We had Wade Barrett cutting a promo, but then we have Daniel Bryan come out, which again makes sense because he's won Money in the Bank, and then Wade Barrett beats on him, and we're thinking, great. And then what happens?
Well, the thing is,
Daniel Bryan buries him.
I'll try not to say that because, to be honest, I look at Wade Barrett and think, okay, you're someone that was going into Money in the Bank as the most likeable winner, and now you go off and yes, you lost, but you keep saying you're going on to better things. And all you've done is SmackDown have booked you bad, and you're getting beaten by Daniel Bryan. And all I can really hope is that you're going to go on and have a good rivalry or something with Daniel Bryan.
Yes, but the only trouble is, at the end of the day, if they do a rivalry like that, it will be done to put Daniel Bryan over as a credible main event guy after winning Money in the Bank. Which really shows me that they may just end up burying Wade Barrett again. And it's just a shame we have to see this every week, isn't it? Wade Barrett getting buried in some way or form, however it's done. It's kind of similar to Drew McIntyre, but at least Wade Barrett actually gets put on TV. And like you said, hopefully this will lead on to something good for Wade Barrett, but I don't have too much faith in the WWE's booking of him.
No, and I'm thinking that you put him on mic, which was good. It got us fans who like Wade Barrett going, looking forward to what he had to say, and then Daniel Bryan had to come out and put his yes, Wade Barrett was talking about Daniel Bryan, but again, you could have had Wade Barrett put look strong on Daniel Bryan for this segment.
Yeah, even though I guess it makes sense that Daniel Bryan is the Money in the Bank winner, and you do want to make him look strong. It's just that I don't really see why it has to come at the expense of Wade Barrett, but that's just my opinion. Anything else on that before we move on to what is essentially a pointless Divas match?
Yeah, there's not much to say about this Divas match.
No, it was a six Diva match, which just really had no point, really, did it, at the end of the day?
No, there weren't.
No, very similar to the From the Vault segment, which had no point as well.
Pretty much. Like,
it was like Big Show versus someone,
Kofi
Kingston, in a pointless match, which both of them are on Raw, so why are they on SmackDown? I'm just saying.
Pretty pointless.
Yes. Now, what about the Zeke handicap match, MJ? Why is this on our bad list?
Well, first, I'm going to say a good thing about it. These three are involved with each other somehow, so for having them involved in a kind of a match together made sense. But at the same time, it was not an exciting match. The match had lots of bad spots in it, so it just didn't flow rightly. And Zeke needed to look strong, but this match didn't make him look as strong as it did.
No.
But the winners, I think, were correct.
Yeah, I do think Cody Rhodes winning was the best thing to do. It's just that if they're going to have Cody Rhodes face Zeke at a pay-per-view, we've already seen him pin him clean. And even though it was a handicap match, Ted DiBiase didn't exactly have too much to do with it. It's just bad booking.
That's the worry I'm having. Is like, yes, you need more matches than what we've got so far at some time. You need more matches. And Zeke versus Cody's going to be one of them. I'm thinking, you've had Cody now pin Zeke, who's your champ, and now we already know the result of what's probably going to happen at SummerSlam, and he's just kind of ruined it.
And my question is, why don't you just end this match in a DQ? Why did this have to be a handicap match? Why can't you just have either Ted DiBiase or Cody Rhodes go against Ezekiel Jackson, have one of them run in DQ so that no one looks weak and so that you can actually develop something going into this pay-per-view? Why do they have to always pin someone clean in a match, which kind of ruins the hype going into the pay-per-view? What little hype there is.
So I'm just saying that they should keep. And I was hoping they were going to tease something between Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase, but they didn't do anything like that. So I'd say that's why it's in a bad section. There weren't much good to it.
And also, can I just also say this as well? I know this might seem like a little niggly thing, but how come Zack Ryder, who is a face, makes a handicap match which favours the heels? Just putting it out there. Any ideas why, apart from the fact that Zack Ryder's a total darsh and shouldn't be on TV?
I think he thought this was going to be a good match and work out better than it did, but it didn't.
Yeah, fuck off. Should we on to the main event then? Orton versus R-Truth. It's good to see R-Truth in the main event, wasn't it?
Well, that's where he deserves to be because he's been doing well on Raw, getting the main event, involving big wrestlers. So for him to come on to SmackDown and not go from mid-card and go straight to the main event kind of made sense for that.
Now, I thought the booking of this match was okay because you had R-Truth looking okay in the match. You had Orton come in and cause a disqualification, meaning that R-Truth won. It's just that after the match, you have this seemingly incessant thing that you have to try and fuel Orton again, and it comes at the expense of R-Truth, and again you're thinking to yourself, R-Truth is buried, another guy who's on your SummerSlam pay-per-view card.
Well, this goes back to the beginning of the night. You've done it to John Morrison, and I'm just thinking you've also done it to John Morrison's opponent, R-Truth. Yeah. And I'm thinking that tonight on SmackDown, it hasn't done anything for John Morrison's build.
No.
It's done nothing for R-Truth's build. So this whole main event, sadly, it's on SmackDown's show, so it's all in that. But sadly, you did not have to do that to poor John Morrison and R-Truth.
No, and unfortunately, SmackDown's main eventers are going to get the nod over the Raw mid-carders, which is unfortunate. But It's just really, he just got really buried, R-Truth did. It was such a shame. It's just, it's Orton, and when Orton's involved there, that he's going to have the say in this. Can Orton ever break an announcer's table with his RKO? Ever?
Probably not, but I think, to be honest, just because it was an RKO, that's what got the crowd going.
Yeah, the crowd is really feeding into Orton at the moment. We didn't see much from Christian either, did we? He's supposed to be our World Heavyweight Champion, and it's really funny, I feel, that Orton gets this main event. Christian is always at the beginning of SmackDown, and Christian doesn't really feature too much in the main event, and he's the fucking champion.
And talk about the main event, Christian, yes, he's the heel, but Orton tries to become a heel when he uses the chair.
That's a heel manoeuvre.
The announce table, and it's just not working out for him.
He's supposed to be a face, yet he's doing all these heel things. It kind of seems... I don't really know what to think about it. Orton again is getting the main event, and the champion, which is Christian, just isn't getting as much involvement as he should. I mean, I guess if Orton was the champion, he'd be all over this main event and coming out on top. But because Christian's the champion now, and I don't think they have too much faith in him, that they're just going to make him have a little run in on the main event, and that's it.
Well, all we can do is, this SmackDown has been awful.
It wasn't great, no.
It's not really done much justice for the right wrestlers, not really. So, again, let's just go into our finishing thoughts.
Yeah, and just one final thought here. Again, this whole bringing through R-Truth and John Morrison thing really shows that SmackDown just do not have that much of a roster. And there was a couple of wrestlers missing, but it still wouldn't have filled up the show with all the filler that it really got, like the From the Vault and Raw recap. Should we just go on to our overall thoughts now then?
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, so all those people that have listened to this the whole way through, well done.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
This far.
Yes, and now we're going to go on to our overall thoughts, which is the prize you get for getting this far on the podcast. Well, what can we really say about this week? Raw was decent. Raw was very good, wasn't it?
Raw's been doing great over the last couple of weeks, and they always do the right thing at the very end of the show, which leaves the crowds happy.
And it's mainly down to CM Punk, isn't it?
It is down to CM Punk, yes.
In my opinion. TNA was a very, very bad show, in my opinion.
And the word I used was appalling. I'm going to stick to that word.
Yeah, and SmackDown, although it was better than TNA, it still wasn't very good, was it?
Last week showed signs of improvement, and this week it lost those signs of improvement, so I can't say much good about SmackDown. So
you really do realise from this week that Raw is definitely the A show and the better show, and that WWE is probably the better company in terms of what's been going on this week, because TNA was shit. And Raw was by far the best show of the week.
I agree. It's Raw, as I said all along, it's the show that I love to watch every week. And then the rest of the shows just come afterwards.
Yep, definitely. So yeah, not been the best week, but at least we had a good Raw, which is very good. That has really been it from us. The good and bad of the week. You've heard a lot of good from Raw and a lot of bad from SmackDown and TNA, but that's not always a bad thing. We love to rant sometimes. So that's been it really from me, Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me, who's the NJ.
What's up?
Who's the man, NJ?
What's up?
Oh,
okay. Make sure you check out our next week's overall thoughts of the wrestling week.
Yep.
And what we'll say now is one word: goodbye.
And make sure to put your comments in the comment section below, of course. And goodbye.